Hello, and welcome to YWCA's Facebook Live Connect, Heal, Learn speaker series. I'm Laura Gomez-Horton, Clinical Director of the YWCA Greater Austin. For those who are unfamiliar, YWCA Greater Austin provides individual, couple, family, and group therapy, care coordination services, life skills classes, school-based services, consultation, training, and advocacy. Our mission is to eliminate racism, stand up for social justice, help families, and strengthen communities, which we've been doing in the Central Texas area for over 115 years. We truly stand at the intersection of mental health and social justice. This speaker series focuses on inviting subject matter experts to discuss topics connected to mental wellness and social justice. This month, we are recognizing International Women's Day, celebrated on March 8, 2023. As a woman-led organization that works to empower women and communities, we didn't need to look too far to find powerful women in leadership roles. Today, we'll be focusing on some of the women that keep our services going at the direct service level. We'll be talking about their leadership roles at YWCA, in their profession, in their communities, and within their families. Today, I'd like to introduce you all to Rose Hernandez, Maya Amos, and Eva Escobedo. Welcome to you all. And first, maybe we can start with introductions real quickly, and you can tell us a little bit about yourself and your current role at YWCA and anything else you'd like us to know about you.
Okay, well, I'll go first. Yes, I'm Rosa Hernandez, and I've been with the YWCA for a while now, over 5 years or so. And the role that I play is a new role, Clinical and Community Services Supervisor. And with that role, I work with care coordination as well as the clinical program. So working with interns and interacting with different social services as well as universities, etc. And I think that's it.
Eva, you would like to go next, or you want me to go?
Thank you, Maya. So hi, I'm Eva Escobedo. I am a clinical supervisor at the YWCA. I have been with the Y, it will be 10 years in May. And so I'm hoping for at least like little muffins or something. Laura, hi. And I have been in this role for 8 years and loving it very much.
And hi, I'm Maya Amos, and I'm also a clinical supervisor at the YWCA and also a trainer there especially for somatic experiencing training that we provide for the community and both for the people who train with us. I've been at the Y for 8 years. Very happy and grateful to be there.
Well, welcome to you all. None of you mentioned your licensure status or anything like that, but I know we have our licensed clinical social workers, our licensed professional counselors. We have everybody here, everybody represented. So according to the International Women's Day website, International Women's Day has a number of missions behind it, but ultimately it seems it is a way to celebrate women's achievements and increase visibility and also call out inequity. What does Women's Day or International Women's Day mean to you?
I think real quick, I was thinking about that and I realized, if anything, it's a recognition of the multiple roles that women play in everyday life, and which means just daily, whether we're professionals, whether we're mothers, whether we're friends, whether we're connectors. I mean, there's so much that we do. That's what I think.
Yeah, for me, it's another day for just reflection of how women have been adding so much roles to their life and how much they, in a way, progressed, and at the same time, how we're not where we're supposed to be. in regards to positions of leaderships and biases, to still internal and external. And just this morning, because I knew we were going to have this conversation, I'm participating in a carpool, and I took a group of kids, and I asked them a riddle. And the riddle was a son and a father were in a car accident, a really hard car accident. And they were rushed to the hospital. And in the hospital, the son was about to be operated. And suddenly the doctor saying, "Oh, I cannot do this. This is my son. So how is that possible?" So I asked that a group of 5 teens. There were like 2 boys and 3 girls. And what do you think they said?
Did they give the right answer? I know the right answer. So
What do you think? What do you think they said?
I'm hoping they gave the right answer.
Well, they didn't know. They really struggled. It was like, how is that
Wow.
possible? How is that possible? How is that
Mhm.
possible?
Wow.
And yeah, and they did not know. And when I gave them the answer, they were like, oh, and it just really represent. And the answer obviously is the mom is a surgeon. And it just again represents how we don't consider women in certain roles, even though we know statistically women, percentage of women receiving a higher degrees is much higher than men.
Mhm.
And it's not being represented in afterwards in leadership roles. So for me, that day is a day to celebrate women and how much we hold, and at the same time a reflection of what are the barriers and what are the things that we still need to work on, especially with our kids. I have a daughter and a son,
Mhm.
so I see it kind of like playing out every day almost.
I might just have to ask my 2 boys about that today.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
How about you, Eva?
As I was thinking about it, I thought about it differently. I don't think about it as a day to celebrate women's achievements, because we have always achieved. We have always done, and we have done always a lot more than our share. And for sure, like with Maya's riddle, we have always done a gazillion things that are invisible. So for me, the fact that women are, that as women we are being recognized on this International Day is, wow, like a sign of relief that maybe men are seeing maybe a little bit of us, or feeling a little bit less threatened by the incredible talent and abilities that we do hold. So it's for me, it's a little bit a day of hope, hopefully.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and I just to chime in a little bit there, I would say not just men recognizing, but everybody recognizing, because I think a lot of times, you know, we don't recognize our own achievements. I would say all the time we don't recognize our own achievements. But going back to what and a little bit what you said, you know, there's still a long ways to go, obviously. There's still a lot of barriers. There's still a lot of that internalized oppression, internalized messaging that we get, not just as women, but in general, everybody, that the kids in the car didn't know the answer to the riddle because we were just so trained. We were trained. So what are some of the barriers that you've had to overcome in your life to get to the roles where you are? And maybe what would you say to others that are trying to get to those roles?
Mm.
And Eva, your video went off a little bit there, so.
I don't know why it's only-
Rose or
Not
Maya?
swinging.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I mean, I think for me is to really learn to slow down and acknowledge my hard working and understanding that it's not just about hard working, it's also smart working. And also to understand the importance of building self-confidence. I think that one of the barriers is that women are participating in leadership skills all the time, much more than men, collaborating and communication. I mean, we know that. And at the same time, the place where I feel like the barrier is the self-confidence, to succeed, to be a leader. And I think once I heard that women would not apply to a job if they don't have 100% of qualifications, like they know that for sure they fit for the job. And for men, it's 50% because there is this confidence, oh, I'll be able to do this. So I think that for me, and that's something that I also work with my kids, it's just like really installing this self-confidence of succeeding. So yeah. We lost Eva.
We
Oh,
did
we
lose
lost
her.
her.
She'll be back. It's okay. How about you, Rose?
Let's see, jumping in there. I would probably say barriers that I feel like I experienced or that I see every day or see people talk about as they come in for services, as well as is that there is inequity that's happening with education, with opportunity, and with that is understanding that I can still challenge that. I can still go through that, and whatever happens after that challenge, you know, what it really represents is being willing and, like as Maya was saying, being confident that I'm going to challenge that and see if I can change the direction of either my family's life or my life or just to the next level, right? And so, and I think that's existed probably since childhood up to now, right? Even with these bigger systems, it continues to exist, but yeah, just kind of challenging and understanding there is inequity right now, and how do we continue to challenge that?
Eva, do you want to talk any about the barriers that maybe you experience or
Sure.
you've seen other people experience?
Yeah, so I was also thinking about that this morning. So I have been incredibly privileged because I have power in many, many parts of my life. I have privilege that I appear white. I am super able-bodied. I have a fancy education. I have financial resources, blah, blah, blah. And so those have helped somehow soften to some degree the challenge of being a woman in a position of leadership and power. But I would say that the greatest barrier actually has been that the fact that I have some power being thrown in my face. So I have been accused of being like a man, which it's interesting because that can be a compliment, but it's intended as a blow actually when directed at women. And so it's almost like I have had to apologize for having confidence, for having power, for having an education, for using these things to promote well-being in my community, for my family, and for myself.
That's a different spin there, but yeah, I think that happens. That's very common when women do have, they are, then they're bought and they're bitchy and they're, you know, rather than terms like being assertive and, you know, other more positive terms. But yes, they are labeled bullish, you know. Yeah, so many different things.
Now that you say that, I've just recently heard this new term that came out. Someone thought it was funny, but they were talking about a person, a woman who was challenging something and trying something new. And the word was being ambitious, right? Like instead of
Oh,
ambitious. And I was like, wait, that kind of
interesting.
didn't sit right. I was just like, whoa, okay.
Mhm.
So they use the same word, but add like a little positive, sort of positive to it, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I know that there is a lot of trying to reclaim those terms. It's like, yeah, sure. I'm chingona and I'm bitchy and I'm trying to reclaim it in a more positive light, but it's that double standard.
Right.
You know, it's interesting because like I speak another language, and in other language there is a female and male words associated to the words, and actually leadership is a female word.
Oh,
Just FYI.
say more about that.
I mean, yeah, I mean in Hebrew the word for leadership is a female word. So it's like if you have an adjective that will go with that, it will be a feminine adjective. So I just thought it's interesting, you know.
Mhm.
We don't have it in English because we don't have, you know. So, but I just thought about it, you know, as I was like, oh, it's interesting that that's the word itself.
Mhm. Yeah.
Which, you know, represent the fact that as women, we've always been leaders. It's just a matter of like really embodying that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I'd be curious to know how other languages also are
Yeah.
representative that way. Eva, you know 5 or 20 languages. How many? You can always let us know.
I was thinking, in the languages that I speak, it is male.
It is masculine, yeah. Okay. But yeah, I'd be interested to hear that, like which languages are more representative that way. Earlier I mentioned that, you know, as YWCA, we are a woman-led organization, and we have many people that are leaders in their roles and or are emerging leaders. What are some of the things that you see in the people that we work with, in like our staff, our interns, our volunteers? What are the skills that you might be seeing in the people that work with us, that are maybe like, wow, you know, that's really empowering. That's a really strong person, or that maybe just like you're impressed with, or that would like to highlight.
I have one.
Mhm.
So I would put you.
Oh no, don't start with that.
No, but seriously, I do, because I think that you really represent the way that leadership should be, because you're always about pulling people up instead of making yourself shine by pushing others down, which is very much the traditional way. And so, yeah, effective leadership, and I think that effective female leadership is exactly what you embody.
Well, you're sweet.
No,
But
I'm
I
not
wanted to
actually.
talk about our staff and how amazing they are.
You're not staff, but I think it trickles down.
I am,
That's
but
it.
I'm thinking of
Yeah.
all our, you know, lead therapists, our care coordination manager, our Gen YW staff, everybody,
But even in this moment,
admin.
Laura, this is exactly what happens among, you know, us as women, is that Eva gave you a very authentic and well-deserved, you know, reflection, and you're giving it back, you know, and it's just like, yeah, you are. And that's the thing about our self-confidence. Like, I am a great leader, and there are other leaders around me, right? And I think that in the Y, we're very lucky to see, to work with also a lot of people just coming out of school or in school, and just see see those individuals that are like really taking risk, you know. And I think leadership, especially when it comes for women, is about bravery. It's like to really take risk, to really speak up, to really challenge us we've been there for years, and having those people coming and give us feedback and saying, hey, what's about that, and challenging that. And that takes a lot of bravery. And I think that bravery is one of those skills that a leader must have. And it's for me, that's energized me, and every time when we're starting working with a new cohort. So that's something that I see in our stuff, and I see it in the people that train with us, that challenging and speaking up and saying things that sometimes it's hard to hear.
If I were to throw some words out there, I would or share along those lines is especially with students who are coming in, choosing to work with the Y, because they were like, we've heard there's space to share my ideas. There's space for me to think outside the box. And you're actually being seen as someone who counts. You're coming in, we're not power, we're not leadership over, we're kind of like inviting to think differently and to walk around differently and experience things. If they're hard, right? And recognizing that those are pieces that are all teaching all of us how to take that next step forward. That's not easy, but we do that.
Yeah. Well, and I think my thought behind the question is that if you look at everybody that were at YWCA, that we all have stories, we all overcame barriers, we all carry our traumas in our, in our body and our memories, we all carry our experiences, our losses, and we're still there, working with each other and working for the community. So there's just I wish I could have everybody at the YWCA in this room right now, so we can just talk about everybody's wonderfulness.
Yeah.
I just made up a word. Okay.
That would be hours and hours.
I know, but everybody has overcome something. And then when we talk about our clients, and Eva, you mentioned this earlier too, it's like we're always achieving things, but they go unrecognized. And it makes me think of the people that we provide services for, that they are often overlooked, because in these types of days of recognition or months of recognition, they're wonderful to recognize, but at the same time, the individual or smaller achievements, or maybe not even to say the word smaller, but the everyday achievements that we have go unrecognized, especially for those that we're serving. I guess so that kind of leads to my next question is, how do you see the people we serve striving and persevering in their lives?
I want to something symbolically based on what you had just mentioned about transformation or moving to a place that they feel more comfortable in or in growth is I remember this one client using a piece of art that they had created and had been broken and trashed based on another person who was having some aggressive behavior, and then kind of wanting to work through that experience that happened in the past. And one day, she shows up and says, I had been saving this cup that I had made, right? She was so proud of it, how she learned to do this new thing. And it had been broken and shattered in one of the incidents, but brought it to me and made it a piece of art. And she said, every day I would look at it and think about how hard it was for me and what I experienced. But now I look at it and I think about how I've transformed. And she made this cup into a piece of art and blew me away. I was just like, wow, okay, and I was glad that that could be communicated. It meant so much to her to have that. Yeah.
I love the metaphor
Mhm.
because I think that as women, that's exactly what we do. We pick up the broken cup pieces and then we turn them into something else. And then and if that breaks, then we pick up those pieces and then we turn them into something else. Yeah.
Mhm.
True, true.
Mm.
Maya, anything to add to that?
I mean, that was said beautifully. I think that it's really helping, facilitating like that inner recognition of someone's strength and creativity and an inherent ability to heal. And I think that that's something that our clients are leaders in their own bodies, but also in their small families and the community. I mean, it's a domino effect. It's something that we're holding as in our community at the Y, and then it's trickled down to the clients that we work with, and then it's trickled down to their communities and their systems. So, and that's the power. There's so much power in that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, everything we've talked about here today is just about how Maya, you started first the conversation with saying, sometimes it's about how we see ourselves or how we value ourselves or not value ourselves, and, leading into then to the healing aspect of, how we can transform. So yeah, we've talked about like from being hurt, but also being able to continue growing and growing from there. It reminds me of the little weeds that get, that bloom every spring as we're moving into spring season here, that you'll start seeing everything that died off on winter start reliving again. Well, I know that we are running out of time for right now. And so I wanted to real quickly give you all some last time to just say anything that maybe we didn't cover right now, anything you want to share about leading or striving or persevering. And Maya, I know that you are on a tight time, so maybe I'll let you go first and then we can finish up with Rose and Eva.
The word that stays with me when it comes to leadership is bravery. That's the word that comes to me.
Yeah. I think if we were thinking like that and using words, things that come up for me would be around equity, remember to listen to each other. And I think connecting, finding ways to connect, even if it looks different, that's okay. And remember to speak up, because it counts, whatever you say.
Yeah. Eva?
I would really love the opportunity to hug women specifically, because I think that very often just a simple touch conveys our unity. So I symbolically hug women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's nice. Yeah. Well, thank you all so much for joining me and sharing your thoughts and some of the work that you're doing. I'd like to remind everyone to keep the conversation going. And if you would like to connect for services at YWCA, contact our main line at 512-326-1222. If you also want to keep the conversation going about social injustices, we also have a monthly dialogue on issues of racism and discrimination. Our next one is March 31st, 2023 at 12 o'clock, 12 to 1:30. And the topic will be weaving oppression into systems while denying systemic oppression exists. But thank you all again. And now I send hugs to you all as being strong, powerful women too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So.